There is a photograph of you that you do not remember being taken, a first birthday, a cake you smashed with both hands, a whole room of people who loved you, singing a song you were far too small to understand. You have seen the picture, you have heard the story, but the moment itself is gone, vanished as cleanly as if it had happened to a stranger wearing your face. This is not a flaw in you. Every adult alive is missing the same stretch of years. Your earliest real memory almost certainly begins somewhere around the age of 3, and everything before it has quietly slipped beneath the surface. So where did it all go? The phenomenon has a name. Scientists call it infantile amnesia. The term was coined over a century ago by Sigmund Freud, who noticed his patients could rarely recall anything before the age of 6 or 7. Freud assumed the mind was hiding those years on purpose, burying them out of shame. He was wrong about the reason, but he was right that something enormous was missing. Here is the strange part. As an infant, you were not empty. You were learning faster than you ever will again. You learned faces before you could speak. You learned your mother's voice so well you could pick it out of a crowded room before you could lift your own head. Your brain was a furnace, so why can you not reach a single moment of it? To understand that, you first have to understand what a memory actually is. A memory is not a recording. It is not a video file sitting on a shelf inside your skull waiting to be played back. A memory is a pattern. It is a specific arrangement of connections between brain cells, a constellation of neurons that once learned to fire together at a single moment. To remember is to light that exact constellation up again, and if the wiring beneath it changes, the pattern can be lost, even if nothing was ever truly deleted. This is where the infant brain becomes a problem for itself. A developmental psychologist named Patricia Bauer studied memory in very young children, and what she found surprised her field. Babies and toddlers do form lasting memories. A 2-year-old can remember an event from months earlier. The machinery is already running. But those memories are fragile in a way adult memories are not. They fade fast. Bauer called early childhood a time of accelerated forgetting, when memories are written in real ink on paper that is already dissolving. So the memories were there, then they were gone. What erased them? A clue came from another researcher, Carol Peterson, who asked children of different ages about the earliest thing they could recall. The younger children could describe events from when they were very small, around the age of 2, but when she returned years later, many of those early memories had vanished. The door had been open. Then, somewhere in childhood, it quietly swung shut, and the boundary is not fixed. The line where your memory begins drifts as you grow. Why would a brain make memories only to delete them? The answer may lie deep in a small, curled structure near the center of your brain called the hippocampus. Think of it as the part of you that files new experiences, stamping each with a time and place so you can find it later. In an adult, this filing system is stable. In an infant, it is anything but. Because your baby brain was doing something extraordinary. It was growing brand new neurons at a furious pace, a process called neurogenesis, packing fresh cells into the hippocampus by the thousands. And all those new cells arrive at a hidden cost. 2 neuroscientists, Paul Franklin and Sheena Jocelyn, proposed a startling idea. That very flood of new neurons, the same flood building your brain, was also scrambling its own records. Picture a library trying to stay organized while a crew tears out the shelves and rebuilds them every week. Each new neuron nudges the existing connections and paves over them. The growth making you smarter was quietly dismantling what you had already stored. In their experiments, slowing neurogenesis preserved early memories. Speeding it up wiped them away. Sit with that. The reason you cannot remember being 2 is not that nothing happened. It is that your brain was rebuilding itself so fast it lost the map to its own past. But there is a newer twist, and it complicates everything. For a long time, the assumption was simple. Maybe babies could not encode real memories at all, so there was nothing to lose. Then researchers found a way to test it. A team led by neuroscientist Nick Turk-Brown scanned the brains of awake infants and watched the hippocampus light up in real time. The infant brain was encoding memories after all. So if the memories are being recorded, why can you not find even one? This points to a haunting possibility. Perhaps your earliest memories were never destroyed. Perhaps they are still in there, intact, locked behind a door for which you have lost the key. The problem may not be storage, it may be retrieval. The memories could be a book written in a script you can no longer read, on a shelf you can no longer reach, present, preserved, and out of reach. And that brings the mystery to something deeper than cells. It brings it to language and to the self. Because as an infant you had no words, no inner voice, no narrative, no way to tell yourself the story of what was happening. A psychologist named Catherine Nelson argued this sits at the heart of the puzzle. Autobiographical memory, the kind that becomes the story of your life, may need language to take hold. Before words, you had experiences in abundance. You simply had no thread to string them on. So your missing childhood is not one mystery, it is three tangled together. A brain rebuilding itself too fast to hold its records, a filing system that may have saved everything and thrown away the index, and a self with no words yet to claim its own life as a story. But here's the part that should stop you cold. Just because you cannot remember those years does not mean they failed to shape you. They shaped you more than any years that came after. In that forgotten time, before a single memory could hold, you learned the answers to the largest questions a person can ask: whether the world was safe or frightening, whether a cry would be answered or ignored, what it felt like to be held, to be wanted, or to be left waiting in the dark. None of those lessons needed words, none needed memory. They sank beneath both into the deepest architecture of who you became, the way you trust people now, the way your body leans into comfort or flinches from it, the fears you cannot explain and the calm you cannot account for. Much of it was set in place during the very years you will never recall. You are living out the conclusions of a story you can no longer read. Notice it the next time you feel something and cannot say why. That sudden sense of safety in a particular smell, that ache when someone leaves a room. These may be echoes from the unremembered chapter, the part of you written before you were handed a pen. You did not lose those years. You became them. So the next time you see a photograph of yourself as a small child, a cake smashed between two tiny hands, a room full of singing you cannot hear, do not think of it as a moment you forgot. Think of it as a moment still alive inside you, still holding the pen, quietly writing you into the person you are today.